in the 8th grade.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I graduated from high school early.
Did you get a certificate? Or you graduate from Westchester?
No, I graduated from a probation school. Yeah.
That's cool. Where was that?
It was on 78th and Western. I came home from camp on house arrest, and the lady told me that this was in December. You know, you graduate in January, but this was a whole year early December. You know what I mean? So I graduated a year and some months earlier, and she told me I was only a couple credits away from graduating.
Really?
And I'm like, shit, run it. You know what I mean? My granny had been giving me slack, like, on my granny's side of the family, like, everybody is, I wouldn't say, like, model citizens, but, like, they got high school diplomas and shit. They go get jobs.
Yeah.
You're the only person that's not going to get a high school diploma job. But, you know, that was never nothing that I'd seen myself. Like, I didn't want no job. Like,
did you ever, like, when you were 6 years old, was there ever, like, a job that you were like, I'm going to do that when you... Because, you know, I feel like people say bullshit when they're, like, 6 years old. And it's
mean, it's, like, stuff that they'll, like, put in your head to make you say you want to do. But, like, me, seriously, it was never... I really never had no just solid direction. Like, I was kind of good at sports.
What'd you play?
Basketball. I never played football, ever. Yeah. You know what I mean? Basketball... you know, riding bikes, flipping gates, hopping gates, just doing just like typical, you know, kid shit.
Are you a Lakers fan?
Yeah, I'm a Lakers fan. You know, they Los Angeles. I'm a Clippers fan,
really,
but I'm not really like a big sports fanatic to even say that I'm a fan because I can't tell you who play for the Lakers right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? I could tell you who played back in the day, you know what I'm saying, when they was winning.
Who was your favorite when you were a kid?
My favorite when I was a kid, Kobe. Yeah, pretty much Kobe was the man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So, and then, do you remember, like, I think you told me there were like a lot of soul music growing up in your house.
Yeah, hell yeah. A lot of everything. My uncle would play the same song for an hour. You know what I'm saying? He would play so many different records. Push, push, push. He'll play that for hours. You know what I'm saying? And just a few other records. I can't really think of them now off the top of my head, but like he'll play just looking for samples. You know what I'm saying? I didn't watch my uncle like hit weights together to sample a sound. Like the ding, ding. I didn't watch him and his partners do that. You know what I'm saying? When I was a little kid. So, you know, I seen a lot. I watched him come in with boxes of tapes. You know what I'm saying? He had a Jamaican reggae artist called 7 Foot Man.
That's cool.
I still got one of the tapes somewhere. But
was it good?
Yeah, I watched him do it. Yeah, it was pretty tight.
I feel like as like I
should sample it.
Yeah, I feel like is any of his music available on what was his name? Your uncle's label?
Black Sun Records. I ain't never even Googled it or looked it up. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I just know that from what I seen, it was official, so I never had to look it up.
I wonder sometimes, like, if you look at, like, there's a lot of stuff now that gets reissued from, like, the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where someone will find, like, all this stuff that kind of gets overlooked. Like, my sister actually used to work for a label called Light in the Attic. Actually worth checking out. Really good label. And they would find stuff, and sometimes it'd be, like, masterpieces, but it didn't get the right push. And
I think it would actually be tight, though. It was called, he had a single. It was a tape single. It was a fucking foot with a crown on it. Mm-hmm. And the foot looked like a 7, and it had a crown on it.
Really?
And the tape was red. And it was 7 Foot Man, Good Love. And I remember him. That was my boy, too. He had he was missing part of his pinky finger. He was missing part of his index. He was missing this part. So it was just a little nub, tall dude.
Had you ever, like...
But he wasn't a real Jamaican.
They found him at Aki Bamboo in Lamert. There's been a lot of good reggae music by not real Jamaicans. I feel a lot of people of Jamaican descent though, so like in England.
Yeah, what? You know, ain't Shaggy? Is Shaggy not a real Jamaican, huh?
Shaggy. You know, I didn't realize that
Shaggy was the one that was fake.
It wasn't me.
Sean Paul, was it? It was Shaggy.
I think Sean Paul.
Sean Paul is legit.
Yeah, Sean Paul I think is legit.
Yeah, I think Shaggy was the one that wasn't a real Jamaican.
Yeah.
If I'm not, I mean...
Well, you remember that?
Forgive me, Shaggy, if I'm fronting on you.
Yeah, It Wasn't Me is a great song. I was saying that Donald Trump has been acting like Shaggy, It Wasn't Me levels of guilty.
It wasn't me.
Like, that is the guiltiest I feel like you can act, is I wasn't me. Like, it's like, how do you forget those kind of things?
Right.
You just didn't remember giving it away. I mean, also, like, you're Shaggy, right? You're a millionaire. Couldn't you, like, rent a hotel or something? Or, like, you just get caught?
Yeah, for real. It wasn't... I mean, but... I mean, it get to a point
soccer.
where, I mean, a lot of players know, it get to a point where, everybody slip up sometimes. You know what I'm saying? How many times you left the house and forgot your keys? Not a lot, but I'm pretty sure it happened before,
Yeah, it's
right?
happened, yeah. So I guess maybe I should have more empathy for Shaggy in general. Oh, man. Yeah, a lot of good fake. Like, it was weird. I interviewed, that guy Matisse Yahoo? He was like a Jewish guy from New York who had the big beard, and he did a reggae thing. And I didn't really like him at first because I'm a little dubious of white guys doing a reggae thing. But it was actually crazy because I ended up doing these interviews. I haven't written the story, so my apologies to Matisse Yahoo. But he was a wild dude, and I watched him do like the reggae thing, and I was like, this is a pretty competent we could do a good reggae impression.
Right. I mean, he was probably just like so consumed in the lifestyle. A lot of people go from fans to actually, living that. Like,
yeah.
So, I mean, it's like a thin line with that. Like,
right,
with
it
the
is.
culture type
it
shit,
is.
because it's like how many people start off or born as gangsters. You know what I'm saying? You morph into that. So, I mean, it's kind of it's
it's
a catch-22.
I'm not like a huge, but like someone who I am a fan of. I'm reading Keith Richards' biography, right?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty early on, and he's talking about when the Rolling Stones formed, and he's like, man, all we wanted to do was like be like black blues guys from the South, and like
right.
then
and I heard they like idolize like Muddy Waters, and,
totally Chuck Berry, Little Richard,
and all that.
Yeah. And that's like a weird appropriation thing because now you'd be like, what are these? You know what I mean? And then what do these British guys know anything about that? But then they became the Rolling Stones. So like on some level, like.
Right.
It was probably a good thing.
They became like the biggest rock band ever. So it's like it's the same thing with rap. Like I don't really like Eminem, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, I never met him. I don't really know his complete story. I don't know how he was raised, but he's a white guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Rap is ultimately like black genre. You know what I'm saying? But he's like one of the greatest rappers or the greatest rapper of all time. And he's a white guy. You know what I mean? So it's like kind of like I don't know. When you white, the rap fans are like not majority black. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like if you a tight rapper and you white, you winning. You know what I'm saying? So
well, I feel like that's like
with music, period.
There's a lot of mediocre white rappers now that end up winning because I feel like a lot of people just a lot of like teenage white kids just identify with him.
Right. Like he's a white guy, he cool. You know what I mean? I fuck with him.
But I feel like when I was a kid, it wasn't the case. I feel like when I was growing up, because it was still hip hop was like more of a. It was like its own. It was a culture that was almost set off a little bit, you know. So like to be a white guy, you had to be twice as good, kind of. Otherwise, you just get clowned.
Had to be twice as nice, aggressive, the whole nine. Like I think Eminem was great at that. What about what you think about House of Pain?
That was a little like they walked the line. Like they're like Jump Around's a good song, but like. It's also Jump Around,
right?
You know what I mean? Like, who did I like? I mean, there were Eazy-E had a white rap group actually, called Blood of Abraham.
Oh yeah, Blood of Abraham. yeah, exactly.
And they were like, all right, you know what I mean? Like they weren't like, but I will say like when I was I was 12 maybe when that come out, and I thought they were cool because I was like, man, they're like white Jewish kids from the Valley, and Eazy-E fucks with them. So I was like, they have to have, you know what I mean? They have to be kind of cool. But, they weren't, it wasn't like anything you're going to, had a couple good singles, though. I feel like sometimes, like, the older I get, the more I'm like, man, if you had a couple good songs at one point, like, that's cool. Like, you did something. Like, it has some meaning.
Yeah, hell yeah.
No, it's interesting. Cause, I mean, but we're talking about, like, gangster rap. Like, that is its own thing all differently, I feel, because that's something
I don't think has it been any, like, successful white gangster rappers?
I feel like the closest would be like there were a couple guys not successful. There was a guy named Jojo Pellegrino from New York. He was from Staten Island.
Jojo Pellegrino.
Isn't that like a Staten Island? Yeah.
Yeah.
He was Jojo Pellegrino, and he was from Staten Island. So he kind of had the mafia thing he was trying to do. There was that dude, Little White, that was with 3-6 Mafia. There was, I feel like, even Bone Thugs, do you remember they had that guy Powder P, but he wasn't really a gangster rapper?
Powder P, yeah. Before he was from Mo Thugs, right?
Yeah. He was on the song Ghetto Cowboy.
Yeah, exactly. You better count your money. Yeah, exactly.
I feel that's how Kanye's new album's going to be, where he's in Wyoming.
Oh,
he's in Wyoming.
Wyoming.
He's recording in Wyoming now, so he's going to...
Well, I want to hear what that's going to sound like.
The Posse soundtrack. It's gonna be like, that could be cool. Were you ever a Kanye fan?
Yeah, I'm kind of like.
I feel like Kanye fans are like you're either like weirdly obsessed to the millions of people.
Right. I wouldn't say that I'm just like a super fan of the music right now because it's like I do so much music, I don't really got time to tune in with what everybody going on, and I don't want to sound like nobody, so I like listening to the opposite. But like early on, Kanye, like around All Falls Down and all that. Like, I love that whole vibe and everything that he was doing. The Graduation is like actually like one of my favorite CDs ever. The one with the cartoon. Yeah, The Graduation is one of my favorite CDs. I was actually in jail. Me and this nigga was Sellies when that shit came out. Yeah. And that's like one of my favorite CDs of all time. The Graduation. Yeah. Yeah.
What's interesting about gangster rap is I feel like it's like I read a lot of like noir books. Like Raymond Chandler is like a famous guy. Like he wrote this book called like The Big Sleep, and he wrote Long Goodbye, and like there's such a specificity to it where it's like he wasn't actually a detective, but there was a guy named Dashiell Hammett. He was a detective, so he knew all these stories. I feel like gangster rap is sort of, it's like almost like. You can tell the difference. I don't know. Like when I'm listening to your music, there's like a specificity where it's like you couldn't, or like even like someone like Boosie or something. I always think
you can't fake it. It's like a narrative to like what's actually going on.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of people probably wouldn't understand or probably think that I'm putting it on thick and faking it until they come around the area. You know what I'm saying? And see like, oh shit, this is what he's talking about. This, that, and the other. Like I got a line called "My Uncle Smoked Crack." I used to sell it to him, and I was just filming with Chuck Dizzle. I'm like, look, there go my uncle I was talking about right there. You know what I'm saying? He's still out, burnt out, but
that's
so.
Yeah, when I was in Louisiana, same thing. Actually, Boosie's like it was funny. Like I would watch Boosie videos, and then he had like a crackhead uncle.
Yeah,
and the crackhead, and like he was on all these videos, and then he showed up in court one day, and it was like one of those things. And I was
my uncle actually in an old ass video that I had in 2012 before I went to jail when I was like, I want to rap. And I think it's called The Intro. Mm-hmm. I was playing chess in the beginning of the video. That's my uncle I be talking about. That's cool. He was down there in the spot with me every day. You know what I'm saying?
Do you play chess?
Yeah, I'm pretty well at chess.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty good.
Yeah, I never got into it, but I feel like it's one of those things. Like, were you ever into Wu-Tang?
No. My uncle, like, I'm in the Wu-Tang by default. Yeah. You know what I mean?
They had a whole chapter on chess. That's why I say that in their book. Like, there was, like, a big thing to their...
Yeah, I'm in the Wu-Tang by default. Like, my uncle was, like, he wasn't a gangster. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. My uncle that did the music. Yeah. He wasn't a gangster at all. So he was, like, more into the backpack scene and the East Coast scene. Yeah. So, like, Far Side type shit and all that. And then, like, Wu-Tang, of course, and... what group was that the Guru was from?
Gangstar.
Yeah. So all that. Is it Full Moon? Black Moon. Yeah. See, all that. Yeah. So my uncle was like, I got introduced to that through my uncle. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, by default, I'm a Wu-Tang fan. But I'm really a fan of, like, Method Man and ODB and Method Man. I can't really say the whole Wu-Tang, but Meth, like... Die-hard fan. I fucks with Meth.
Yeah, my friend is convinced he's the best rapper of all time. And, like, there is a case... Like, he's not, if you look at his, like, maybe catalog or whatever, but if you look at, like, how good he was at rapping on, like, a 16-bar verse, like, you could say he rapped as well on any given track as well as anybody.
Yeah, he was dope. But it's, like, different, though. Now that I'm an artist, full-time artist, like, it's easy to pop out a 16 here and there. But, like, full projects coming back-to-back dope, like, that's a lot of work, man. Because I'm working on another project right now, and it's like I can't talk about the same. I got so much shit to talk about, But it's just like you really got to get into that place in your mind and them thoughts, like just different thoughts, because repetition, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you'll get so caught up in repetition that you'll like, and motherfuckers fucking with it, you'll just start saying